it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to talk about the new 4K edition of the 1994 film, Fist of Legend. I just passed 700 podcasts, so thank you for listening. I didn't realize that. I did a review of this movie, I think, in the early days of the podcast. Fist of Legend is one of my favorite films, and I think I reviewed the Blu-ray copy a couple of years ago. Anyway, I didn't take the time to look it up. I'm sorry. I kind of whipped these out kind of off the cuff. That's kind of why I do them and the fun of them. Anyway, recently at the end of June, a company in the UK, 88 Films, released Fist of Legend in a 4K edition. This is a movie that I never thought would get a 4K edition. The Blu-ray has been out of print because, long story short, in the video world, it was owned by the Weinstein Company, and the rights were, and so it went out of print for a while and then came back and was gone again. So this is the first new edition of it in a long time. To go ahead and, for the people who have tuned in just to find out if the 4K is worthy or not, yes, and maybe. There's a couple of iffy things about this release. The video portion looks incredible. This is one of my favorite martial arts movies. It's a different version of Fist of Fury, the old 1970s Bruce Lee movie. Jet Li plays the main character. He's a Chinese student in a Japanese school when a Japanese clan of ultra-nationalist martial artists come in and threaten the school and want him out because he's, well, Chinese in a Japanese school in Kyoto. And he dispatches the bad guys, quote unquote, very easily, and then meets the master, who apologizes for everything and apologizes. This is the very, very, very beginning of the movie. And the Japanese karate master tells him that when he asks where he's from and puts two and two together, he says, "I just found out that your master died." And Jet Li's taken aback by this. He says goodbye, and he's got to go. His girlfriend, who was in the class, defended him, and she's the niece of the Japanese karate master, and that's going to play out a little bit later on in the film. This was all first 5 minutes. The martial arts choreography is by Yuen Woo-ping. He's the guy who did The Matrix and a lot of other martial arts movies you've seen over the years. It's pretty spectacular, actually. It goes from one set piece to another. The fight scenes are incredible. It's a decent movie overall. And they have gone back to the original 35mm film and restored it in 4K. The movie looks fantastic. It really does. I figured maybe an upconvert of the Blu-ray was about all I could hope for, but yep, it's a full restoration from the 35mm film. It's never looked this tight, concise, colorful. It really looks fabulous. Now for my two negatives. One, mono soundtrack. There's two Cantonese soundtracks. One's louder than the other. I don't know what the bigger difference is between the two. Very mono. Like very, very... You don't get stereo, not 5.1, not 7.1, and certainly not Atmos. Mono from 1994. They could have done a surround mix, couldn't they? The other is the Blu-ray that comes in this 4K edition is Region B. Now, fortunately, I still have my Region A version of Fist of Legend and have all those extras and everything. But if you're buying this set for the whole package, well, the Blu-ray, you're going to need a region-free Blu-ray player to play it. The 4Ks are all region-free. All 4Ks are. And like I said, it looks amazing, so you're going to buy it for the video quality. But the audio, I think there was a 5.1 mix on the old Blu-ray, probably the English dub. That might have, I mean, it's a pretty narrow mono mix of this movie. It's loud enough and makes sense. I watched it in the original, Cantonese with subtitles. There's not an English dub on this because it's an imported release. And it just made it sound like an older movie. It sounds older than it actually is. I wish they could have done more with the sound. And it'd be nice if the Blu-ray that comes with it was all region. It supposedly was supposed to be, but I guess it didn't work out that way. Anyway, not either one of those are a deal breaker for me, but it was a little disappointing that we didn't at least get some kind of stereo mix for the movie. But it does look fantastic. And I would absolutely pull it out anytime I want to watch a martial arts movie. It is one of the top, well, because not a whole lot of these movies have made it to 4K. Enter the Dragon have, and a few others, a few modern ones, and that's about it. I'm about to watch Boy Kills World. That has a lot of martial arts in it. It's a new 4K and native 4K transfer. But anyway, if you're a fan of this film, this is a no-brainer to pick up. The set's beautiful, and if you order it now, you get a slipcover. And it's relatively inexpensive. It's only £25. The conversion rate varies a little bit, but if you order it from Amazon, it's really not bad at all. So anyway, Fist of Legend 1994. Go back and check out my old review if you want a more in-depth review of the film, but it's one of Jet Li's best. Gordon Chan directed it. He directed 30 or 40 martial arts movies all the way from the 80s all the way up. He had one last year. He's about 60 years old these days. It really is probably my favorite Jet Li. Well, I like Hero quite a bit. This is up there. I really enjoyed Fist of Legend. It's just a very bombastic, if you will, spectacular kung fu karate flick that's really great fight scenes, and a decent movie holds it all together. And it looks fantastic in this new 4K edition. Doesn't sound that great. Can't really get to a whole lot of the extras. Most of them are on the Blu-ray, but otherwise, I'm still happy with the set. It was definitely worth the price, and I love the film. So if you want to import it, those are the good and bad of it. It does look amazing. I watched this the day after watching Twister. Now, Twister got a full 4K restoration from the film, but it uses a lot of processed filters and things, and it was a much darker, much moodier looking transfer. This is bright and clear and not quite video level of clarity, like 60 frames a second looking like a soap opera or anything. It still looks like a movie, but it's bright, clear, steady, best it's ever looked. Fist of Legend. It's available on 4K now. If you import it, I don't know if the U.S. is ever going to get a 4K release of it. So I would recommend importing it. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. I'm doing them about every other day for the last few weeks, if you haven't noticed. Thank you for listening. Have a spectacular day.